when it comes to feeling certain feelings, when it comes to dealing with certain emotions, having certain thoughts, I think we all have our own coping mechanisms to work what's inside of us to be outside of us. And that probably sounds weird, but I guess where I'm getting with this is um, whenever you feel a certain way, whenever you are dealing with a certain situation, the way that we cope with it might be through a certain outlet, whether it be through journalism, writing your thoughts out on paper, whether it be through documenting things through video, through audio, whether we express ourselves through artwork, being drawing, coloring, painting our emotions out on paper, or expressing ourselves in sports and athletic activities. I feel like each and every one of us has our own way with coping with certain situations, feelings, and emotions. Now going back to putting our feelings down on paper and transcribing that into music is a whole nother outlet. And I feel like any of us that deal with certain feelings or we're dealing with certain emotion, tomorrow, whatever you feel, I guarantee you there's a song that is relatable to that feeling that you're having. Music is such a relatable source for us of media and something that every single one of us are able to connect with and to bond with. And so today, my guest, Mr. Jeremiah Johns, aka Gitaruman, discusses this. We discuss his most recent release, Good Enough, and we discuss his journey through music, how it started, where it's at now, and how he is able to bond with his kids over it, how he's able to continue writing, and where he's going to be going in the future with his music as well. If you have not heard Good Enough, stay tuned to the end of this episode. I'll play a snippet of it as we are going through the outro credits. The music that is playing right now is Gitaruman. It is he went through a phase of electronic music, which is incredible. The music that he produces sends tingles down my back. But when you hear Good Enough, you'll see that the music that he has written, especially for that song, has kind of I would say changed, but he has gone a different course with the music that he has created, and I think it's brilliant. Absolutely love our discussion today. I'm so thankful that Jeremiah is able to come on and chat with me on this week's episode of Parent Quest, and I hope you all are excited to listen to it as well. I feel like I'm just rambling on, so I'm just going to cut to the interview. All right. So here is Jeremiah Johns, aka Gitaruman, on this week's episode of Parent Quest. So yeah, I kind of feel like a train wreck with just different muscles cramping this morning, but it's not been too bad. What's been going on with you, Mr. Jeremiah?
Well, I've been, working a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Been busy at my day job. Can't focus on music full time just yet. And then
Right.
Having 3 kids that takes a lot of time as well. But trying to use what time I can. We finally got a piano in the house about probably 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And I think it's really helped be an outlet for me for practicing and composing and stuff like that. So I've always had a guitar since I started playing that when I was like 15, but it has been a long time since I had a piano, so it's been helpful.
Yeah, speaking of outlet, I mean, music is such an incredible outlet as far as expressing yourself and dealing with your own personal emotions. When was it that you actually got into? When was it that you got into wanting to write music? And do you know what it was that maybe inspired you to do that?
The first time I started getting into music, as far as writing it, was actually in high school. We had an amazing class, a music theory class, that kind of taught the classical harmonies and music theory. But then the second semester, we moved into jazz theory and stuff, which it was awesome. It's kind of, you can bend the rules a little bit, break the rules to compose new music. And so we had a project for that. the senior project, basically your whole course grade or a large part of it was you had to make an original composition, notate all the pieces, find musicians to perform the piece, and then you had a performance in front of the whole band and everything.
No pressure.
Yeah, so no pressure at all. And so doing that then just kind of inspired me up to do that. I made kind of a electric guitar piece, of course, because that was my main instrument at the time, and had some like bass and some other instruments in it. The performance did not go well. It didn't live up to what I heard in my head. But I mean, I still got a good grade. And I remember the teacher saying, you know, keep writing. This is really good stuff. And so that was kind of my first thing. I made a couple small pieces after that. But then, you know, life kind of happens. You get, you know, ended up getting married and having kids, and didn't really compose as much through that whole span. But then it's probably been, I don't know, maybe 2014-ish or so. I remember I was at my work and listening to music, and Skrillex came across Pandora. And like it just totally blew my mind. Like I remember my heart started beating fast because like it was just such a visceral experience, and it was like, man, what even is this? How is this music, and how do you make something like this? And so that kind of got me down that path of like getting. I found out that he used Ableton Live software for his recording, and so I downloaded that. And I was like, okay, how can I chop up some audio? And started doing some like remixing type stuff, and writing some originals. Like 8-Bit Hero was one of my first original songs that I kind of put out there, and it just kind of took off from there. And then gradually over the past, I guess, 7 years now, towards the last few, I've been making myself be more comfortable with singing and adding lyrics to the instrumental type stuff that I had been doing before. So I posted a poll on my Instagram recently, and more people connect, at least in the poll, to lyrics than to the music on first listen. And so I feel like that's opened a big door for me as far as my music and connecting with other people, to add that element and that layer of the lyrics and the meaning behind them. So
yeah, I want to say the music that I was exposed to originally that you created was all electronic, and even that music itself gives you the feels, puts tingles on my back, especially when certain drops happen and stuff.
Appreciate that.
But most recently, listening to you had a Better Man.
Yep.
That released was it 2 years ago or maybe a year ago? It wasn't too long ago.
A couple years ago, yeah.
And then just recently Good Enough, and I was like, man, this is some real good stuff. Real good stuff.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So I guess it seems like you went like you've come around to a full 360 where you started with writing. It's always been writing, but you know, starting with what you did in school, and then you leaped into some electronic music, and now you're going back into piano and guitar and stuff, and yeah. It's real interesting to see that. Can I ask you, what was your inspiration for Good Enough?
Yeah, so there's three distinct, obviously the three verses of the song, and those were all based on things that like actually happened in my life. The first one's about the birth of my son, and just being a father for the first time. Like I'm sure you can relate. Like the first time you hold your kid, it's an amazing feeling, but it's also like you just get that sense of like, okay, this is actually a human being that I am responsible for, and making sure they're well fed and cared for. And you know, I'll never forget the smell of those. They give you the preemie diapers, but like the clean ones, obviously. And it has such a distinct smell, even from other, you know, kinds of diapers. And if I would smell that to this day, like I get anxiety, my heart starts going and stuff, just because I remember that feeling, and just wanting to be like a good parent, and wanting to all the kids that have a happy life, but especially that memory just with him because he was my first. The second verse was about going through, unfortunately, a divorce and wondering, how my life is going to go from here.
Mhm.
And just kind of that you build up an expectation and kind of a picture of what you think your life path is going to be and what that's going to look like. And when it doesn't go that way, it's jarring. And so that verse is kind of about that, like, where am I going to go to from here? And, can I handle another relationship? Will I find someone that, would want to end up with a single father or whatever, those internal feelings that you think about.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last verse was when I met and formed a relationship with my wife now, and just having such a deep respect for her as who she is as a person, and just really wanting to be a better man, like that other song kind of ties in, like just kind of use those feelings of, am I going to be good enough, into a motivation to be the best version of myself that I can be, because she deserves that. And going back to the first verse, kids deserve that. And so hopefully that the very last piece of that song, in the chorus, I changed up the lyrics on that last bit, that it says, I think I'm ready now, and I know that I will do my best. So turning that around into the motivation to do that, I think hopefully it carries that positive message and people can connect with that, because I think we all deal with not feeling good enough at times.
Yeah, that's it's, you can just tell by the lyrics you've written. It is a deep song, but going into your motivation behind it, that is I couldn't imagine transcribing that from your head to paper and like writing it down, and that whole process itself, because that's got a lot of emotion behind it, and a lot of say not only hurt behind it, but also like you said, is it anxiety from whenever you had your firstborn? Just a lot of feeling behind that. So yeah, man, it's very deep. And for me personally, especially whenever I heard those first lyrics, you talking about your son being born, it hit home for me too. Like that, I could absolutely relate to that. And
Yeah.
it is a question of like, okay, I brought this human into this world. Am I going to be good enough to hold their hand and let them go and let them be, independent and take care of themselves? Or will I fail them and, not lead them right, or help them grow up to be a good, independent individual?
Yeah.
Scary. This world is scary, especially to raise people in.
For sure. Yeah, I was, I kind of had that in my mind, that I think, and I was hoping that most people that have kids would be able to connect to that. Like even if it's been a long time ago and your kids are grown, like I don't think you'll ever. Obviously, mine aren't grown yet. They're Adam's 14. He'll be going into high school this year, but I don't think I'll ever forget that feeling.
Yeah.
The first time of holding him and just wondering about that, wondering how things are going. And I guess only time will tell, but I know how hard that I work and how hard most of the parents that I know work to do good for their kids. And at some point I think we can give ourselves a little credit.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like we are doing a good job, and they can feel that from us.
So with him going into high school, has he shown any interest in creating music?
He's interested when I am creating it. Like he likes to listen to it and kind of ask me what I'm working on and stuff. But as far as his own creation of music and stuff, he hasn't started. Hasn't shown enough interest in like learning an instrument or anything like that just yet. But even for me, like I had piano lessons early on and then some violin lessons, but it was a while that I just didn't really play anything until probably, I want to say like maybe about my freshman year or something. That's when I really was like, I really love to play the electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I got a guitar and started taking lessons on that and took them for 4 or 5 years. So, hopefully him and the other two will end up taking an interest in music. But even if he doesn't, it's still, it means a lot to me that he listens to my music and, puts it in his playlists and so forth. So hopefully we can still connect on that in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Were you able to see his reaction when he was able to listen to Good Enough for the first time?
I didn't see his reaction to it. Actually, I don't think we've spoken about it specifically. But most of the other people, like I played it for my wife. It was funny. We were having some friends over and I had just finished the final cut before they got there. I was like, hey, come here. You got to listen to this. I know I don't want to leave them hanging out there, but I'd really like you to listen to this. And so she put on the headset and stuff. And like by the end of the song, she's just bawling and came out and had to be like, I'm so sorry. I look like a mess. I've been crying because the song was just so good. And so obviously I don't feel like you want to make people cry, but to have that kind of a connection to a song, to be able to make people feel something is a neat feeling. And, I think that's behind what I try to put in all my songs is like make people feel something. Even like you said, if it is just instrumental, like there's still ways you can create moments and have people kind of connect to that. So yeah, hopefully all my stuff that I put out from here forward as well will create some kind of emotional response.
I think even stuff that you put out years ago, emotional response. It's funny because I don't think there's a lot of music that can put chills down my spine, I guess. But there's something about electronic music that does that. And whenever a beat drops, I just feel like the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And it's just almost a like a euphoric feeling in a way.
Yeah, I love that feeling too. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. There's something about music that's just incredibly powerful, and more so with the singer-songwriter aspect with Better Man and Good Enough. I think people connect with that in a different way, and doesn't really. I wouldn't say it gives you that same feeling of tingle down your back, that same type of excited feeling, but it puts you into a different feeling as far as like a deep thought and an emotional connection to that, a deep emotional connection to it. So Are there any plans for, I assume there's plans for more music, but are you thinking about doing another EP or some kind of album?
So I've thought about this a lot, and I think that, so right now I've got at least 6 songs that I have like pretty much fully written and fleshed out. They just need recorded. Mm-hmm. So obviously that's more than enough for like an EP. But I feel like the way people consume music nowadays is more like single driven, more like one at a time type thing. And also the way that I, as long as it takes me to find the time to put together a song and record it and everything, like I think I'm going to do kind of just one at a time, hopefully every few months, be able to just get a new single out there and just kind of add that into the discography. But so I think I definitely have one song called Journey, which I put on Instagram a while back, just the rough cut, which I enjoy doing that, kind of putting little preview stuff that I'm working on out there to let people see that part of the process. But that one, I've started recording that. Hope to have that, the next few months. It was originally more kind of similar to Better Man, like an acoustic guitar type song. But over the past few weeks, as I've been like working on recording it and stuff, I think it's going to turn into more of kind of like an indie rock song type deal. So hopefully that uh, texture and sound of that vibe will suit the song a little bit better, and it'll be a little bit more upbeat than anything that I've done, I think. And hopefully people will connect with that also. So I'm excited about it.
Very cool. Do you find yourself driven towards a specific instrument right now? Like you said, you just got that piano behind you there. Are you want to toy around more with recording with piano, or going back to guitar?
Yeah, definitely. I probably once once Journey comes out, I think the next three were written on piano, and I'll have to see how I decide to go with the instrumentation on that. I mean, I may just leave them as kind of piano and stripped back, at least for one of them. But once, like, the cool thing about the recording software is, like, once you record the notes in with a mini keyboard, you can just overlay any kind of textures or sounds on that. And so I'll probably be playing around with that quite a bit. You know, I love the 8-bit sound. Something about, you know, those old school synth type sounds resonate with me. Sometimes, like, I don't know if it's how it sounds to other people, but that would just give me a feeling in itself, just yet hearing a single note with that specific sound. So, I mean, I may even play around with that a little bit to see, you know, if I can incorporate that or how it sounds. But it's one of those things. Sometimes you can get caught up in that and waste a lot of time, you know, playing around, just come back and be like, no, it should just be piano. So the more I've written, I've had to learn to kind of edit and rein myself in. And, like, yes, there are 20,000 different, you know, samples that are possible, but we don't need to listen to all 20,000 to know that it should be this instrument.
I guess the good thing is, with you having a background in electronic music, you could always do re-releases or remixes of stuff that you've written and just kind of go to town with it.
Yeah. I have wanted to do, and I haven't found the song that suits it well yet, but wanted to do like a more electronic version first, and then release like a stripped down version that's just like piano and voice or guitar and voice or something like that. And I've noticed, I don't know if it's a trend, but a decent amount of the electronic artists that I follow and enjoy listening to, they've done that quite a bit over the past few years. And so we'll see. Hopefully I can find a song that will lend itself really well to that, and can kind of follow that pattern, I guess.
Yeah. So how about for anyone that is listening that is potentially going down the route of wanting to write music, or even just write their feelings out on paper? Would you have any kind of words of advice for them? Would you have anything to kind of help them get motivated or stay motivated?
I would say if you have that inclination at all, like, just go for it 100%, and don't ever feel like not being able to, like, any level of expertise is needed in order to start writing. Like, it doesn't, if it's your first time picking up guitar, you know a few chords, you're qualified. You know, that's all you need. Or even if you don't play an instrument at all, even if you can just sing, you can write a melody with your voice, like, just do that. You know, music is, I think the older I get, the more that I see how just listening to music teaches you about music. And the more you listen, the more you learn, and the bigger your vocabulary is with, you know, phrasing and notes and chords and everything like that. So we all have, like, a unique DNA of music. Like, every song we've ever listened to, whether we loved it or hated it, it influenced us and how we hear music and what we want to listen to in the future. And so you've got a huge, you know, repertoire of music inside of yourself. And if you have that inclination to start writing and use it as an outlet, just go for it. And everybody has such a unique perspective because we all listen to so many different things. Like, yeah, just go for it, get started, and share it. You know, social media has been awesome for people just posting 30-second videos of them playing stuff. And, you know, the music community can be a huge, you know, support, or people love to see your your talents and what you're creating and stuff. And I love seeing other artists and what they're working on. It's inspiring to me. So yeah, just go for it.
I think in a way, what your music teacher told you to just keep going and keep doing it, even though you felt like you were, it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go. That speaks a lot, because I feel like artists go through, they do stuff, they create stuff that may not be good, may not be up to their expectations, but to be able to hear, so I'll say, keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And to not give up on it is it's a powerful thing, because I mean, could you imagine if your teacher said, yeah, that really wasn't that good? That probably would have shot you down, and you would have had zero motivation to create anything else after that.
Yeah, that would have been rough.
But yeah.
And as far as like the motivation to keep going, like an artist that I've really come to like over the past few months is an artist called Jacob Collier. He released a bunch of YouTube videos starting out probably 5 years ago of him singing and like just crazy harmonies. I mean, he's just ridiculously talented. But I watched an interview of him saying that like his ear and what he can hear as far as producing and writing and playing and everything has always been better than his ability. And I think he's like one of the most talented musicians on the planet. But he said that was actually a positive thing for him, because he's always got somewhere to grow to. So just because, obviously I'm nowhere near as talented as him, but my ear has always been better than my ability as well. So looking at that from that positive perspective, like if I just keep playing, if I just keep writing, in 10 years, I'll be so much better than I am now. I'll be closer to what I can hear in my head, in 20 years or whatever. So, not being able to create exactly what we want, or not being able to play exactly as well as we want, doesn't have to be a negative thing. And we can use that to, propel ourselves forward, even when we're not feeling it necessarily, to just keep getting better, just keep practicing, just keep playing.
Nicely said, Jeremiah. So where can people go listen to Good Enough, and where can people find you and your music? And if there's any way that you'd want to collaborate or connect with somebody, how would they be able to do that?
Sure. So pretty much any streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Music are probably the two biggest. It's also on YouTube Music. Tidal, it's got the master badge for, you can listen to it in better than CD quality if any audio files out there. As far as connecting with me, I'm on Instagram. Handle is just Gitaruman. Facebook also, page is Gitaruman. And yeah, just reach out, connect with me on those. Follow me, send me a direct message if you want to collaborate or ask questions about music or whatever it is. Like I love interacting with people about my music and their music, and it's just a lot of fun for me to have that feedback, and you get to see what I'm working on now. Some of the practice fails, and just a lot of different things like that. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Jeremiah, it was a pleasure having you on here, and hopefully this wasn't a torturing experience and you'd like to come back on another.
Not at all. The pleasure's been mine. It's been a blast. Thank you so much for having me. With a newborn wrapped inside, I remember shaking, being scared to hold too tight.
Jeremiah, thank you so much for hopping on this week with me and getting into a deep and thoughtful discussion about your music, your past, where your music is heading to. And I can't thank you enough for taking time to chat with me, especially it being early in the morning. We both have busy schedules, and I greatly appreciate you taking just a few moments of your time to talk with me. As you listeners know, he left the links that you can check out: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find him on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, you name it. I guarantee you he's on there. And yeah, such a down-to-earth guy, and I hope to have you back on in the future again. Now, feel free to follow Parent Quest, same outlets, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And be sure to subscribe to Parent Quest on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it. And be sure to tell your friends about Parent Quest. I want to get to doing live streams regularly, whether it be behind the scenes stuff or Let's Plays or stuff with my daughter. And, I think YouTube is such a great outlet for doing live streams and obviously for posting videos and content as well. So, again, thank you so much for taking the time to check out Parent Quest. And, I officially can say that this week's quest has been completed.
I was struggling by myself.